Hey everyone, welcome to Pickleball and Beyond. My name's Ryan.
My name is Vino.
And today we are looking at the Pulse Series paddles by Pickleball Apes.
We actually saw this paddle at PickleCon. That was still in pre-production, and now finally they have come up with this, and we got the hands on all these three paddles, S, V, and E, different shapes. But I mean, Pickleball Apes has been good at coming up with really spectacular paddles. Right?
Game-changing.
When they came up with that first paddle, we call that the King Kong of paddle, right? That 17mm paddle, different surface, and now they have come up with basically a Gen 3. To stand in line with like the Eula Gen 3 and stuff like that. We put specs on what all the main technology, everything is. But I think one of the big questions that's out there is there like a break-in period? So we will do a short review, and after we play with it a couple of times, give it some time, we'll do a longer review as well. Overall, love the paddles. Yes. I mean, is it almost a perfect paddle? Like the grip's awesome.
Yep.
Colorway awesome, design awesome, overall phenomenal, and they have come up with three different playing shapes.
Yes.
Right? The S, this hybrid aero shape that we have come to love, easily maneuverable. Everyone's now talking about this wide body because of this new, hey, we want control paddles.
Since we're getting more power on paddles anyways.
And then you have this beast, right? I mean, it's elongated, 17mm. Hits like a tank.
Yes.
So, how would you categorize these paddles? And that's a hard one, each playing differently. Where would you put that?
So that's a really tough question with how much power these paddles are coming with, and we're getting to try this, literally new technology. But I would throw the Pulse E as a power paddle, and the S and V, I gotta stay in all around just because of how they play. The V is not a control paddle. There's just too much power there.
Yeah. And you would think like with the shape, you're going to get good control.
Yes. Which you do.
Which you do get. And I think that's where all of these kind of surprised me.
Yes.
It's got a ton of power.
Yeah.
Mind you, we were surprised on how much of power you could generate.
For a 16mm paddle.
For a 16mm paddle. But when you went to the control side of it, even with this, with the S, you had a ton of control.
Yes.
So let's go control side. I think we're going to talk a lot about the hybrid because it's like, the center one.
Yep.
Control. How did you like the control part of it?
Like you said, it's so nice to have a paddle that it didn't even take that long to adapt to. Like after using this paddle quite literally for a few minutes, I'm like, oh, it feels like I'm getting added power while retaining this control. I still think it's a little springier than a lot of the previous gen paddles, but it doesn't take long to get accustomed to this feeling of how to control it. It doesn't feel overly poppy. The only thing that might be a little tough is getting some resets dialed, but I still think it's very controllable, which is scary with how much power you get.
And when we were playing with that, something that I kind of noticed, and I've been playing with that just on some games as well, where there are some paddles that say, oh, it has a wide sweet spot.
Yep.
Right? And in all reality, you have the sweet spot in the center. As you go down, it gradiates out. With this, it was very forgiving.
The S and V.
S and V, yes. It was very forgiving going to the sides and also top and bottom, which was very interesting because usually if you mishit a ball closer to the head, you're going to find it hard to control. But with this, we did find this was one of those first paddles where even the mishits, closer to the edges, you had good control to it.
So speaking about the control of these paddles, the Pulse E was the only one where there was a slight fall off, but again, look at the shape of the paddle. With physics, you're just not gonna get that same sweet spot as the other two options, which is why I threw it into the power category. But along with that, with this shape, you could get some crazy, especially overheads with this thing, or some really good drives, like that long lever, holy smokes.
Yeah, mind you, this does come on slightly heavier swing weight.
Yep.
I love playing with heavier paddles. I like heavier swing weight, but even for me, it was a lot. You get what I mean? And so that's where for the first time, I did really enjoy this because it kind of provided everything I would usually get with this.
The power,
the power side of it. And then I still have the control,
tons of control.
And the maneuverability.
And faster hands at the net.
Yes. I enjoyed how fast you were. Let's talk a little bit about the surface.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a nice gritty surface.
Yes.
But I think it had really good dwell as well. So what would you say about the spin on all?
Yeah, we were getting lots of spin on all three of this,
Yes.
right? It's not like one was like any better than the other. It seemed like you were just getting ridiculous spin on all three of them.
Yep.
And it seems like this surface, well, again, we'll try to follow up on this. It seems like it'll last over time,
Yes.
but we'll have to stay tuned to get the true answer.
Again, this is a Gen 3 paddle, and that's been the question, like, you know, like others, is there a break-in time? We have been just playing with this only a couple of weeks we have had it, like just a couple of hours as far as playtime. So we are going to continue playing with this and do a follow-up, like, you know, is there a break-in? But overall, these are almost near perfect paddles for me, Ryan.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, it really is crazy what they have done with this. I mean, it comes like with all like their great case and everything like that. Again, kudos.
And not only are these paddles like playing amazing, they're coming at a pretty amazing price too. The current MSRP is $199, right? In the brand of, or in the age where we have Yolas and Selkirks going over that 300 mark, that's a very reasonable ask for like quite literally the best paddles we've ever used.
A premium quality
Very premium paddle.
Use our code, you'll get further discounts on the screen and in the description as well. We enjoyed playing with this. Anyone wants to try it, please reach out to us. We love demoing paddles, helping you find paddles that work. But hey, very impressed paddles. Please subscribe, please comment. See you in another paddle review. So we talked about this being one of our favorite paddles of that whole series, right? So I thought, let's just compare it with some popular paddles that you played with and see, you know, how do they compare?
Yes.
Let's start out with the Ruby.
Yeah, so the Pulse S definitely is more power in terms of, again, pop, full swing, everything, just getting more power here. And I think the Ruby's a little easier to control out of the box, so I think that might be a better option if you're like a 2.5, 3.0 player. But if you give this just a little bit of time and learn how to control it, it's still a very controllable paddle, and that's why I think I certainly preferred the Pulse S over it.
Eula.
So one really big advantage of the Pulse S is it's legal to play with, so you can't use this Perseus Gen 3.
You have the similar ones that are kind of the same.
Yeah.
Technology-wise, it's the same.
Yes.
How would you compare those two?
Yeah, so with this Perseus 3, I noticed the pop on it was pretty comparable. It seemed like it was a little less consistent, this Perseus 3, that could play into the shape of it, so I gotta give them that the benefit of the doubt. The sweet spot was much better in the control, however, on the Pulse.
How would you talk about the power of the gearbox?
So the gearbox is still, honestly, I think if you do a full overhead, I mean, look how thin that paddle is. I think this is still gonna get you more power, but the control loss and sweet spot that the gearbox has suffers tremendously, where this plays as an all-around and hits close to as hard as the gearbox, but this still hits really hard, and look at the thickness.
Well, I first tried this one and I thought I really liked this one a lot, but then I tried this one and I think this one's my favorite. I liked the control and the power on it, and like you said before, this is like an all-around paddle. So yeah, I could see myself using this probably very frequently.